How do you guys feel about last night's set change on P-Valley? And I say it's a set change because I'm a writer and stage director, and this reminded me of changing sets. We're leaving season 2 behind and setting up the stage for season 3 because a lot of the scenes basically closed one door and opened the door to another. So we already know what to expect the storylines to be in season 3, right? So we're going to start with Mercedes here, and we're going to talk about her last dance for real. And Mercedes had a lot going on in this episode, and I've been talking about character development for the past couple of videos, and Mercedes is the perfect example of one of those characters. And we all know that she's been trying to get her last dance in for a little while now. But last night, she actually took her last dance. And she killed it. She killed it, her and Lil Murda. And this would have been the perfect segue for both of them to go on tour. Now that Mississippi won't be going anywhere for a minute, this would have been the perfect opportunity for her to get back on the stage. But I don't think that she wants to. On my last video, I talked about how she was more interested in becoming a business owner and being a mom to Terrica. And this episode right here proved that she's moving in a total different direction. We saw her receiving a package from Farrah, and inside the box was a picture of Mercedes and a fat check for $30,000. So Farrah broke her off something proper. And Mercedes, not really knowing how royalties are split, she thought that it was a part of the $40,000 from that night of their sponsorship. But Farrah had to explain to her that sponsorships are temporary and royalties last much longer. So she was pretty happy about that, but I think that that was the end of their interaction together outside of her getting royalty checks. Like, that's it between them. And I think that Mercedes pretty much made this clear when she left the gallery that night. But at least this gives Mercedes new ideas, right? New dreams and goals to reach, which is exactly what Uncle Clifford told her to do. So maybe in season 3, we're going to see Mercedes coming up with new creative ideas and other ways to get to that bag. And this next scene with Mercedes kind of put the nail in the coffin for me. Her mom stopped by the studio to give her some really good news. She told her that Shell called into the hotline and she needed prayer. She let Mercedes know that she's going to be going away for treatment to get help, and in the meantime she asked Patrice for some help with raising Terrica. And of course at this time Pastor Woodbine ain't got time to be raising a 14-year-old. She's got a whole city to run, and she's got to keep up with her church, so she gave Terrica back to Mercedes. Oh my gosh, this was so touching, you guys. Like, it was really, really heartwarming to see Pastor Woodbine let down all of her guards and give her daughter back to her. There were no courts involved, people's opinion, none of that. She just gave her back to her. It was effortless. And it was genuine. I love this scene. And this was doing two things. It was giving Mercedes back the responsibility of being a mom, and it was also giving her new motivation to start reaching for new goals. Now she knows that Terrica is going to be watching her every move, so she's got to make her next move the best move. And while we're on the subject of Miss Terrica here, this little girl, fast as you know what. This little girl, oh my gosh. So Mercedes took it upon herself to introduce Terrica to Maine. And as they were walking across the street, in my mind, I'm sitting here like, I really saw Maine in a different light, because initially when we first saw Maine, it was just kind of like this flirtatious little flirty thing, right? But now you're introducing this man to your daughter, and you know what kind of lifestyle he's leading, right? And when she introduced Terrica, Terrica seemed smitten. She's smitten by that lifestyle. She's smitten by that bad boy aura, right? We can tell. It's all over her. And I really didn't like the way that Maine was looking at her when she went back across the street. It wasn't in a bad way, but it wasn't in a good way either. It just didn't feel comfortable to me. And Mercedes kind of picked up on it too. And I'm so glad that she's kind of moving away from him and that she didn't give in to him that night, because this is letting me know that she's thinking twice before she makes any serious moves with this guy. And when Maine saw Mercedes up on the stage when she was performing with Lil Murda, he was impressed. Of course, he's always been impressed with her dancing, and although he was impressed, he told Mercedes that she better make sure that she warns Lil Murda, because he gonna murk him up, period. And I don't know what made Lil Murda just stop the music and threaten this man like this. I mean, and everybody knew who he was talking to, and Maine is not gonna let him get away with that. And he knows it. Like, it's like you're asking for trouble, bro. And they know that he killed Big Teak. So, I don't know. Lil Murda's gonna be in a whole lot of trouble in season 3. I can just tell. Then in the next scene with Mercedes, she was letting Uncle Clifford know that that was actually her last dance, because we already know Uncle Clifford was so excited to get her back, and he was, making plans about her return. And she had to tell him, like, she's not dancing anymore. She's hanging up those heels, those clear heels with the sparkles coming out of them. Those are some bad heels, right? And Uncle Clifford was asking her who's going to replace her. And she was like, well, that's the point. She can't be replaced. So whoever comes in and take that spot, like, they're going to have to fill their own shoes, because Mercedes is not leaving the door open to be replaced. And Uncle Clifford was fine with that. Like, it kind of closed that door on Mercedes' dancing life there, and he's going to support her in whatever she does. So that was another touching moment, and yet another opportunity for us to see the growth in this Mercedes character. So this is going to wrap up the breakdown of Mercedes in the final episode of P-Valley Season 2. I really hope that you enjoyed the video, and if you did, give it a thumbs up. I'd appreciate it. And if you're a fan of P-Valley, go ahead and sub to the channel, because I'll be breaking down the episodes scene by scene and posting more videos just like this one. Thank you so much for joining me today on Ruthless TV, you guys, and I'll see you on the next one.